My world used to be simple. It was just me and Dad. We had our own little routines. We would watch old films on a Friday night. We would eat toast for breakfast, burnt just the way we liked it. Our house was quiet, but it was a happy quiet. It was our home, filled with memories of Mom. Then Dad met Clara. At first, she was like sunshine. She laughed at all of Dad's jokes, even the silly ones. She brought flowers into the house and baked cakes that filled the kitchen with a sweet, sugary smell. She told me I had beautiful hair and that we were going to be the best of friends. I wanted to believe her. I really did. I wanted Dad to be happy again, and she made him smile a lot. Things felt different, though. It was a slow change, like the tide coming in. Suddenly, our Friday film nights were replaced with fancy dinner parties. Clara would invite her friends, people I'd never seen before. They would talk about expensive holidays and flashy cars. Dad started wearing new suits that looked stiff and uncomfortable on him. He seemed to be trying so hard to fit into her world. The toast we used to love was replaced with fancy pastries that I didn't like. Clara would say things like, "We must keep up appearances, darling." I didn't understand what that meant. I just missed our old life, the simple, quiet life that was ours. The house was louder now, but it felt emptier than ever before. I tried my best to like her. I truly did. I would help her set the table for her important guests. I would smile when she showed off a new expensive handbag, but there was something in her eyes that made me feel cold. When she looked at me, her smile never quite reached them. It was a practiced, perfect smile, like one you'd see on a doll. It didn't hold any real warmth. She would hug me when Dad was watching, but the moment he turned away, her arms would drop. It felt like a performance, a play she was acting in, and I was an unwanted character in her script. I felt like a ghost in my own home, watching a stranger take over everything I held dear. The feeling of being an outsider grew stronger each day. Clara started redecorating. Mom's old armchair, the one with the worn, soft fabric, disappeared. In its place stood a sleek, modern chair that nobody ever sat in. The photos of me and Mom on the mantelpiece were moved to a dusty shelf in the hallway. To make space for our new family portraits, she explained with that same empty smile. It felt like she was erasing my past, erasing Mom. My room was the only place that still felt like mine. I would close the door and feel a wave of sadness wash over me. It was a deep, confusing ache in my chest. I was losing my dad, my home, and my memories all at once. After the wedding, Clara changed even more. The sunshine smile she once gave Dad started to fade. It only appeared when she wanted something new. A diamond bracelet, a trip to Paris, a brand new car. She spoke about money all the time. She would complain that the house wasn't big enough. She would sigh dramatically when looking at the bank statements. Dad, blinded by what he thought was love, just wanted to make her happy. He worked longer hours at his office, coming home tired and stressed. He didn't seem to notice the way she spoke to me when he wasn't around. Her voice would become sharp and cold, like little splinters of ice. "Don't leave your shoes there," she would hiss. "You're making a mess." Her words were small cuts, but they hurt deeply. She started making comments about my future. "It's so expensive to send a child to university these days," she would say to Dad at dinner while looking straight at me. "Perhaps a vocational course would be more sensible for someone like her." She made me feel stupid and small. She made it sound like I was a problem, a financial burden that needed to be managed. Dad would just nod, too exhausted to argue. He didn't see the game she was playing. He didn't see that she was trying to build a wall between us, brick by painful brick. I felt a knot of anger and confusion tighten in my stomach every time she spoke. The worst part was how she talked about Mom's things. Mom had left me a small inheritance, some money saved for my future. It was meant for my education, for my first car, for a deposit on a little flat one day. Clara found out about it. I overheard her talking to Dad one night. "It's just sitting there, darling," she said in a sweet, poisonous voice. "We could use it to renovate the kitchen. It would add so much value to the house. It would be an investment for our future." She didn't say my future. She said our future. She wanted Mom's money, the money Mom had saved for me. It felt like she was trying to steal the last piece of my mother I had left. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her words echoed in my head. I felt a surge of hot, fierce anger. This wasn't just about redecorating the house or making me feel small. This was about greed. She saw our family not as a source of love, but as a source of money. She saw Dad as a bank. and she saw me as a rival and obstacle in her way. I was the person who had a claim to the family's history and its resources. She wanted it all for herself. The mask had not just slipped, it had shattered completely. I saw the cold, calculating person underneath, and a shiver of fear and determination ran down my spine. I knew I couldn't just stand by and watch her destroy everything. Clara's plan became horribly clear. She wanted me gone. If I wasn't in the house, she would have Dad all to herself. More importantly, she would have his money all to herself. She started planting seeds of doubt in Dad's mind. "She's so moody all the time," she'd sigh after I'd spent the evening quietly in my room. "I'm just so worried about her attitude. It's creating such a negative atmosphere in our home." She would invent little stories. She claimed I was rude to her friends. She said I was being secretive and disrespectful. She was painting a picture of a difficult, troublesome teenager that Dad was beginning to believe. It was clever, it was cruel, and it was working. My heart ached with a deep sense of betrayal. How could Dad not see what she was doing? I was his daughter. We used to be a team. Now he looked at me with disappointment in his eyes. He would say things like, "Just try to get along with Clara for my sake." He didn't understand that I was trying, but she was the one pushing me away. I felt so alone, trapped in a nightmare. The sadness was a heavy blanket I couldn't shake off. I would cry silently into my pillow at night, mourning the father I felt I was losing and the happy home that was now a place of tension and fear. The confusion was the worst part. I couldn't understand how love could make someone so blind to the truth. Her ultimate goal was to convince Dad to send me away to boarding school. She brought it up one evening, presenting it as a wonderful opportunity for me. "Think of the friends you'll make, the excellent education," she said, her voice dripping with false excitement. "It would give you a chance to mature, to become more independent." I saw right through it. It wasn't about my education or my independence. It was about getting me out of the picture. It was a neat and tidy way to remove the problem. If I was gone, she would have free reign. She could spend Mom's inheritance on her kitchen, and there would be no one there to stop her. No one to remind Dad of his life before her. The anger inside me started to burn brighter than the sadness. This was my home. This was my family. I would not be pushed out by this greedy, manipulative woman. I realized that being sad and confused wasn't going to solve anything. It was only making me weaker, making it easier for her to win. I had to fight back. Not with shouting or arguments, because she was better at that game than I was. I had to be smart. I had to find a way to show Dad the real Clara, the one who hid behind the fake smiles and expensive clothes. My fear started to turn into a cold, hard resolve. I wasn't just a sad little girl anymore. I was a daughter protecting her family and her mother's memory. The first step was the hardest. I had to talk to someone who would listen. I couldn't talk to Dad, not yet. He was still under her spell, so I called my grandmother, Mom's mom. I hadn't spoken to her much since Clara arrived. Clara always said Grandma made her feel uncomfortable. Now I knew why. I poured my heart out on the phone. I told her everything, about the comments, the redecorating, the plan for boarding school, and the way Clara talked about Mom's money. My voice shook as I spoke, but with every word, I felt a little bit of the heavy blanket of sadness lift. Grandma listened patiently. She didn't interrupt. She just let me talk until there were no words left, only tears. Grandma didn't just listen, she believed me. "I never trusted that woman," she said, her voice firm and strong. "Your mother would be so proud of how brave you are." Hearing those words was like a warm hug through the phone. She told me we would face this together. She reminded me of Dad's old friend, Uncle Robert, who was a lawyer. She suggested we gather evidence. It sounded like something from a film, but it made sense. I started keeping a diary, writing down every cruel comment and strange conversation. I found an old email Clara had sent to a friend, boasting about how well off my dad was. It felt sneaky, but I wasn't playing by her rules anymore. I was fighting for my family. The final confrontation was terrifying. Grandma came over and we sat Dad down. Uncle Robert was there too, not as a lawyer, but as a friend. I took a deep breath and, using my diary as a guide, I told Dad everything, calmly and clearly. I showed him the email. I told him how I felt erased, pushed out, and unloved in my own home. Clara, of course, denied everything. She cried and called me a liar. She accused me of trying to ruin her marriage, but this time something was different. Dad looked at her, then he looked at me, and I saw a flicker of doubt in his eyes. He saw the evidence. He heard the desperation in my voice and the steady support from Grandma and his oldest friend. The The spell was beginning to break. It wasn't a magical instant fix. The days that followed were tense and quiet, but the hope was back. Dad started asking me questions, really listening to my answers for the first time in months. He started spending more time with me, just the two of us, like we used to. I don't know what the future holds for him and Clara, but I know that I am no longer alone. I found my voice and stood up for myself. I learned that I am stronger than I ever thought possible. My home is still my home, and with my grandma by my side and my dad slowly waking up, I know we can rebuild what was broken. The quiet, happy life is not just a memory anymore. It's a possibility we can work towards, together.